Hey YouTube, Dustin Ryder here. This is going to be another theory video about the Green Morphin Master. I know before you guys got sick of my Morphin Master theory videos, now get sick of my targeted Green Morphin Master theory videos. But I wanted to make this video as sort of a spiritual sequel to the video I did back when we found out the Morphin Masters were responsible for a handful of powers in the Ranger universe. And in that video, I kind of went over like every season and been like, could the Morphin Masters have created these powers? And this is going to sort of be like that. I'm not going to go in depth into every possible event, but I wanted to kind of have a free-form discussion about how much might the Green Morphin Master be responsible for. Because I feel like since the revelation that the Green Morphin Master intervened with the legendary battle and the Dino team-up, people have been going crazy with like, well, she's obviously the reason for everything. Kind of like with the Morphin Master's revelation at the beginning of the series. Suddenly people believed that the Morphin Masters were responsible for every single Ranger power. And now I think people believe that the Green Morphin Master is responsible for every single sort of unexplained or intervention event. And I don't think that's the case. I mean, I can't say for certain right now. You know, as the season rolls out and as we roll into Cosmic Fury, who knows? Maybe they could make the Morphin Master responsible for literally everything, and the Green Morphin Master responsible for literally everything. But I think that this was just meant to be a little bit more self-contained, to create a through line between some of the recent seasons and the recent questions. I certainly don't mind the idea of the Green Morphin Master being responsible for a few key other things, but I don't think that it's going to be a catch-all. I mean, in the case of this explanation, it kind of was. It was just kind of a hand wave to very easily and quickly explain a handful of things from recent years, but I don't think it's going to be an easy explanation for everything we've ever wondered about. And I don't want it to, because I do like the way they've explained the things in recent years, but I don't want the Morphin Masters or the Green Morphin Master to be the answer to everything, because while I enjoy the lore around them, aren't the end-all be-all. They aren't gods, they're just people that entered the grid after having studied it and have an extra amount of knowledge and power over it. But so what could they be responsible for? One of the things that people bring up now is the resurrection of Kendrix. You know, when she was supposedly killed, she appeared as a ghost multiple times, and she was like, "You must train with the master who instructed me, Yoda." And then she appeared at the end. I mean, at the time, they obviously weren't thinking about that. I think their main thing was they needed to write her out of the show and get a new Pink Ranger in there, and then they wanted a way for her to be able to come back and have a presence in the finale. I don't think it's impossible. Actually, I thought about this before the Green Morphin Master, back during Shattered Grid. I mean, there was different circumstances because Ranger Slayer, like, shot Tommy with that thing that allowed this to happen. But when Tommy was killed by Draken, it was ultimately revealed that due to the interference of the emissaries, he was saved. And instead of being killed, he entered the grid and didn't die. So I kind of assumed something else like that happened with Kendrix. Whether or not the Morphin Masters or the emissaries interfered, I kind of assumed instead of dying, she just kind of entered the grid or became one with the grid and was able to reform herself at the end. I mean, it's possible they could retcon that and say the Morphin Masters or the Green Morphin Master intervened, or the emissaries if they were to tackle this in comic form, or maybe she just got blown into the grid because she was coming into direct contract with grid energy. With the pink space morpher. So I do think, at least in my headcanon, until it's either retconned or explained, that somehow Kendrix was saved by entering the grid and then exiting the grid. Whether or not they intervened or not, I'd rather it not be the Morphin Master and rather it just be her, like, literally getting, like I said, blown into the grid by the energy wave, or maybe it was the emissaries, just because I don't need the Morphin Masters to be involved in everything. Some people brought up, like, maybe Astronema was resurrected by it, because they had that weird, like, Disney ending where Andros cried on her and she came back to life. I mean, that's actually science. Wasn't that in the Pokemon movie too? I don't think she was dead. I think she was just, like, almost dead. So I don't think she was necessarily resurrected. At least that's the way I always saw it. Stuff like people bring up, could they have been involved with the Green Ranger powers and, like, guilt over that, which I did a video on. I mean, it's not impossible that maybe they'd try to tie it to some mmpr lore, or the White Ranger powers lore. In the comics, they did explain where the white light came from. Well, actually, they did sort of. Like, they explained where it came from, where Tommy quested for it, but they didn't explain, like, where it comes from. For that, I don't want to see the Morphin Masters be tied in. I would actually rather see the emissaries be tied into it, because the emissaries were once the Squadron Rangers, which have a similar design to the White Ranger. But that's not, like, impossible. I mean, I can't remember, how did the Wild Zords come back when they were destroyed? Could they say that was the intervention of that? I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff you could say for, like, did they intervene here? Did they intervene there? Are they responsible for Troy's visions? Which, like I said, I think I'm going to assume that. Some people brought up that cool Dino Thunder tie into SPD where they were teasing it with those visions, and were they responsible for that? I mean, maybe? I think it's cool to think about. My point with this video is I think that you can go back in Ranger history and look at lots of things and say that maybe the Morphin Masters or the Green Morphin Master was responsible. But I like to think not for everything. Like I said, I don't, as much as I like this sort of hand wave explaining this last handful of mysteries, I don't want them to be the reason behind everything. I want the door to be left open for both mystery and both for them to be some other explanations behind things that are different, that maybe involve the emissaries or involve something else. And I just personally don't think that she intervened in literally everything. I honestly think she more so just intervened in recent events. I feel like it would be pretty likely, or at least it would make a lot of sense, for the Green Morphin Master and or the Morphin Masters to be the reason behind the Master Morpher, given the name. I think that would be pretty cool. I'm shocked, honestly, we didn't get an explanation for the Master Morpher. Not in Dimensions in Danger, but because they tied it into the Soul of the Dragon comic, it was almost like a, hey, catch this again in Soul of the Dragon comic. I thought for sure we were going to get an answer there, and we really didn't. But I think because that's one of the more recent things, I could totally see that being one of the things explained by the Green Morphin Master and the Morphin Masters. But stretching far back, I think it's fun to think about, absolutely, because depending on which event, such as Kendrick's or the Green Power Coin or the Morphin Master thing, or the Master Morpher, excuse me, I think it's fun to think about and to create your own sort of headcanon based off these revelations and fill in those gaps. And I think in the meantime, until we get an explanation, there's nothing wrong with thinking that in the meantime. But I personally don't think that the Morphin Master, or more specifically the Green Morphin Master, is responsible for every single unexplained question. I hope not. Much like with the Morphin Masters, I don't want them to be responsible for everything, because while they are really cool and important characters to lore, they aren't morphing grid gods, they're just people. But what do you guys think? What are some of the things you either think or would want the Green Morphin Master to be responsible for? Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb us up, ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.